Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial you will be looking at protecting cells, formulas, and worksheets on Excel. We will also be looking at protecting the entire workbook, and how to remove the password on a workbook. Therefore, this is going to be a detailed tutorial with step-by-step process. Anyway, before we go any further, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click on the bell icon for notifications on future videos. Protecting your workbook or any part of the workbook can be a very helpful tool when it comes to sharing your work with others. Or it can be very useful if you have other users working on your job, and you do not want certain aspects of the worksheets to be modified. However, let's get started with this example on the screen. You may have your own projects or jobs that you are working on. But this example here will help you for better understanding. Okay, let's assume that this list that you see on the screen is a list handled by my employees when supplying equipments. On this list, I want my employees to be able to make edits only on certain areas or cells of this list. I don't want them to modify or change things as they intend. I want to restrict the usage and data input into this list. Mainly because I want to reduce any error or miscalculations by my employees when computing totals. However, according to this example, I want them to be able to edit data only on the quantity column and the comments column. I do not want them to make edits to the unit price, formulas, model details, and the name of the tool. So basically, I just want them to be able to edit limited data on this list. Therefore, this is where we will be looking at how to lock specific cells and formulas on the worksheet. Okay, in order to protect this sheet, the first thing that we have to do is highlight or select the area which you want the protection to apply. So I am going to select this whole list as needed. And then, right-click anywhere within the highlighted area, and select Format Cells. Once you are here, click on the tab, Protection. Under the Protection tab, select the option, Locked. And then click on OK. So, all these cells in the highlighted area is being locked for protection. But, you need to understand that it is only locked for protection and not protected at the moment. There is a difference between cells being locked and cells being protected. Once the cells are protected, it will prompt for a password. It won't allow you to do any edits or modification to those cells being protected. What we have just done is only locked the cells for protection. It is the first step towards protection of the selected cells. Let me edit a few cells. As you can notice, the data in the cells can be modified though it is locked. Now you probably understand the difference between locked and protected. Okay, let me undo the changes before we go ahead. Now, what I want is, even though I have locked the range of cells highlighted, I do not want to protect the details on the quantity column and the comments column. I want these cells to be able to be modified by my employees. Therefore, I am going to unlock these cells before we go on to protecting this list. This will enable me to make edits to these cells after protection. Since it is already highlighted, right-click anywhere on the highlighted area. Select Format Cells. Go to Protection, and deselect the Locked option. This will eliminate these cells from being protected after we apply the protection to this list. And then click on OK. Now, except for these two columns, all the other columns in this list is being locked for protection. Let me share a little shortcut to lock and unlock cells. Select a cells you want to lock or unlock. And then, press Ctrl+1 on your keyboard, and it will take you right to the Format Cells option. Now you can select between Locked or Unlocked. I am not going to do any changes now, because it's already done earlier. Let me close this and we can go back to our tutorial. To protect the list, click on the Review tab. Under the Review tab, you will find Protect Sheet option. Click on Protect Sheet. Once you click on Protect Sheet, it will bring up a few more additional options. As you can notice, the locked cells and unlocked cells are already ticked. That's because we have already done that earlier. Other than that, you can select any of the additional restrictions listed below. I have the option to restrict users from formatting cells, formatting columns, rows, or anything that I need. Depending on your needs and requirements, you can restrict users with all kinds of modifications and changes. Therefore, the user doesn't have the ability to make changes to specifics within this list. For the moment, I will leave it as it is. You guys can explore according to your requirements. I am going to put a password to protect his list from being modified. Make sure you use a password that you can remember. You have to enter it twice. And click OK. Now, without this password you won't be able to do any changes to the locked cells in this list. Let me show you. If I am to do any changes to this cell, I will come up with a dialog box, which says that this cell is being protected, and you need to unprotect this sheet with a password to make further changes. Whereas, when it comes to the quantity column, I can perform edits to the data in these cells. And you can notice, the total column also changes as I do the changes. Same here in the comments section. I won't be able to change anything on the totals column. Nothing on the unit price. And same with the other two columns. Now if you would like to unprotect the sheet to make changes to the locked cells, click on Unprotect Sheet. Put in the password. Click on OK. Now you should be able to change formulas, unit price, or any of the other details that were locked and protected. OK. Now that we have looked at protecting the cells and formulas, we can look at protecting the sheets. We have pretty much discussed protecting he sheets with the example earlier. However, this is helpful if you want to protect the whole worksheet, instead of protecting certain cells within the worksheet. Anyway, we can also access the Protect Sheet option through here. Right-click on where it says Sheet 1 and select Protect Sheet. You can choose any of the restrictions here and give a password. I am not going to go through this again, since we have already looked into it. Let's look at protecting the workbook. When it comes to protecting the workbook, there are two aspects to protecting a workbook. The first one is about protecting the structure of the workbook. And the other is about protecting the workbook as a whole. When I click on Protect Workbook option here, it will display a little window, which gives you the option for protecting the structure of the workbook. This one protects the structure of the workbook. What that means is, it won't allow you to add or remove any sheets. It won't allow you to do any formatting to the sheets or even to copy or move the worksheet. So for example, if you have only one sheet in your workbook, that's all the worksheets you can have in your workbook. You need a password to add or remove sheets. Let's look at this and see how it works. Let me put in a password. Now the workbook is being protected. Basically, you cannot do anything. You cannot add or remove sheets or anything related to the worksheet that will change the structure of the workbook. You can do edits in the workspace because we haven't protected the cells. This protection is only for the structure of the workbook, and has nothing to do with protecting the cells of the worksheet. Like you can notice, you cannot add or remove or format the worksheet. And the plus sign here which allows you to add worksheets is also disabled. If you want to add or remove or do anything to the structure of the workbook, then you have to use the password. Let me show you. Now you can see I can add more sheets, and also gives you all that options that were previously disabled. Now let us look at protecting the workbook as a whole. Once you protect the workbook as a whole, you need a password to reopen it. For example, if I protect this workbook and then close it, the next time I open this workbook, it will prompt for a password to get into the workbook. You won't be able to see anything in the workbook without the password. Let me show you how we are going to do this. Click on File and click on Protect Workbook, and then select the second option, Encrypt with Password. Before we go any further, the third option here, Protect Current Sheet, and Protect Workbook Structure, are the same as what we have already discussed. These are the options same as to the ones over here. This protects the workbook structure, and this protects the current workbook sheet. Since we have already looked into these, let's move on to protecting the workbook with a password. When I click on this, it will prompt with a little window to use a password to encrypt the workbook. Click OK. Re-enter the password to confirm, and then click on OK. As you can notice, it says, a password is required to open this workbook. Now, let's close this workbook and see what happens. Save the changes. Open the file again. As I said earlier, it doesn't show me any information on the workbook. You need to enter the password to be able to read or make edits to the workbook. Let me enter the password, and it will open up the worksheet for me. Now let us look at how to remove the password. When you go to File, when you click on this, there is no way to remove the password. What you can do is, you can select Encrypt with Password. This will bring up the password that was already entered to protect this workbook. To remove the password, simply delete the password and click on OK. It's that simple to remove the password. However, if you would want your user to be able to view the data but not be able to modify anything, basically to make the workbook as a read-only file, you can save it as a separate file or as the same file and restrict modification at the point of saving this file. Let me show you how to do it. Under the File tab, go to Save As. Choose your location where you have saved the file. Here you can save as a separate file or save it over the same file. I am going to save it over the same file. Now, click on the Tools option and select General Options. This will give you the option to put in a password to open and also to modify for the intended user. I'm not going to put in a password to modify. We'll leave it as it is, and you can give it a try. That's all it is regarding protection of workbook on Microsoft Excel. I hope this tutorial has helped you. Thank you guys. Please do like, comment and share this video to help my channel. Also don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to click on the bell icon.